Nathan had always liked routines. The kind of routines that made the orbital city of Nova Primis feel less like a whirling metal donut around a dying star and more like a manageable apartment complex, only with more neon and fewer complaints about parking. His mornings began with a gravity-stable cup of coffee that never spilled, hovering perfectly midair just above his palm, and a scan of hollow screens that displayed work updates, news from the Interstellar Council, and the occasional cat video from Earth. By the third cup, he had memorized the orbiting schedules of all the city's docking bays and could quote the traffic flow of anti-gravity taxis down to the second. Life was orderly, predictable, almost comforting until it was. Because Nathan had a secret, a mild obsession really that he hadn't admitted to anyone, not even himself. His apartment walls were covered with images of her, Cerelia. He had collected pictures from holofeeds, intercepted transmission stills, and even a few personal sketches he'd painstakingly drawn during moments of insomnia. To the casual observer, it was just a bizarre gallery of an alien woman who happened to have humanoid features, but with long, elegant ears arching back like antennae tuned to some invisible cosmic frequency. To Nathan, though, it was a shrine, a constellation of admiration, a place where he could study her subtle expressions and imagine conversations that had never happened. On a Wednesday that began like any other, Nathan leaned back in his zero-G chair, staring at her image above his desk. She was captured mid-smile in this one, a sly tilt of her head, ears twitching just slightly as though she had noticed him staring. "You know," Nathan muttered aloud to himself, "if anyone found out about this, I'd probably get evicted for mental trespassing." He laughed at his own joke, the sound echoing against the metallic walls. And then she appeared. Not with a dramatic crash landing, not with a flash of light, not even a polite knock on the airlock. She simply stepped out from the shadows of the observation window, her figure outlined against the glittering backdrop of the orbital city. Cerelia, alive, real, and closer than he had ever dared to imagine. Nathan's coffee nearly floated out of his hand. Hi, he managed, his voice squeaky enough to make him cringe. Cerelia's ears twitched in amusement, the motion almost imperceptible but enough to draw his gaze. "Nathan," she said, leaning just close enough for her voice to brush against his ear, "I know you've hung my pictures on your wall." Nathan froze. The sentence should have been simple, harmless, but it carried a weight that made his stomach flip. He opened his mouth, closed it again. That is well." Her laugh, soft and melodic, cut through his panic like a laser through a scrap of metal. "Relax, I'm not here to scold you." Her long ears flicked as she glanced around his apartment. "Though I must say I didn't expect such extensive coverage, you really are thorough." Nathan's blush deepened. I mean they're just images." It's just admiration." He stumbled over the words, gesturing vaguely toward the wall as if the pictures might explain themselves. Cerelia tilted her head, one hand brushing a stray strand of silvery hair back. "Admiration." She echoed, voice playful. "Or obsession, there's a difference, you know, humans are very particular about such things." Nathan swallowed, realizing he had no witty comeback prepared. "Obsess? No, I mean I admire you, yes, that's it." "Pure admiration." She smiled, that same sly smile from the pictures, and Nathan thought he might faint from both embarrassment and awe. "Pure admiration," she repeated, voice teasing. "You've been talking to my pictures, haven't you?" Nathan coughed, knocking his coffee cup, which hovered gracefully before him, in a panic. What? No, I mean maybe once, possibly in the form of muttered compliments." "Compliments," she said, raising an eyebrow. "Do they know you've been confessing your secrets? Because I think we should negotiate on a more direct basis." Her ears flicked again, catching some unspoken nuance, and Nathan had to remind himself not to melt into the floor. In a desperate attempt to regain composure, Nathan pointed toward the observation deck. "We could, go outside for fresh air, orbital city air." Cerelia raised an eyebrow, unimpressed but amused. "Fresh air," she repeated, her tone lilting with amusement. "You humans and your quaint concept of air, fine, but I warn you I may judge your planet's atmosphere harshly." The observation deck was a marvel. A lattice of transparent panels overlooking the bustling orbital lanes, neon ships weaving like fireflies, and the rings of a distant gas giant spinning in the distance. Nathan tried to act casual, but his legs betrayed him, wobbling under zero-gravity adjustments. Cerelia, on the other hand, moved with effortless grace, her ears adjusting slightly to stabilize her balance. She watched him struggle, smirking. "Careful, Nathan," she said, voice tinged with laughter. "You'll need more than 2 legs to keep up with me in the city lanes." "Right," Nathan muttered, wobbling again. "2 legs, got it." He waved his arms wildly, trying to mimic her poise, which only made him look like a flailing puppet. Cerelia chuckled, and the sound made his heart stutter. "You're really something," he admitted. "Something is good," she said, stepping closer, her presence a mixture of alien elegance and approachable warmth. "I suppose I could say the same about you. Most humans either faint, panic, or explode when confronted with me in person. You, however, seem more entertaining." Nathan swallowed, realizing he had never been described as entertaining before. "I try," he said, voice cracking slightly. "You do," she replied softly, leaning closer until he could feel the faint hum of her energy field, a sensation simultaneously comforting and thrilling. Her ears twitched, brushing against the air around him. "But let's be honest, Nathan, you've been hiding behind these images, your walls speaking for you more than your words ever could. Why not speak directly?" He opened his mouth, then paused, realizing she had a point. The playful accusation wasn't a threat, it was an invitation. He took a deep breath, fumbling for words. I guess I just didn't know how humans are complicated." "Complicated?" she echoed, with a smile that was equal parts teasing and understanding. "Well, lucky for you, Nathan, I enjoy complications, especially the ones that come with humor and slightly panicked humans." Nathan laughed nervously, almost spilling his coffee again. "Slightly panicked is my specialty." Her laugh was melodic, a sound he would never forget. "I've noticed," she said, brushing past him to glance at the images on his walls. "And I think it's endearing. But," she added, turning back to him, "it might be more endearing if you shared it with me in person instead of behind pictures." The observation deck was quiet, save for the distant hum of ships and the soft pulse of the orbital lights. Nathan, still recovering from the shock of seeing her alive, felt something shift, an unexpected warmth, a curious thrill, a sense that the universe, despite its vastness, had just gotten a little smaller and far more interesting. I can try," he said finally, a hesitant smile tugging at his lips. "Good," she said, stepping close, her long ears brushing the back of his neck as if to punctuate the moment. "Because I think this could be fun." And for the first time in years, Nathan believed her. Nathan hadn't slept well since Cerelia had appeared in his apartment. Not that he minded entirely. His dreams had always been solitary, filled with the hum of orbital engines and the occasional flickering neon sign, but now they were invaded by her presence. The subtle tilt of her head, the delicate arch of her long ears catching imaginary cosmic winds, and that teasing smile that somehow made him feel like a floundering adolescent despite being 32. When he awoke, he half expected to see her standing beside his bed, silently judging the rumpled sheets and his pajama choice. She wasn't there, thankfully, but the memory lingered, and with it, a mixture of excitement and nervous energy. Breakfast, if one could call it that in zero gravity, was a messy affair. Nathan attempted to pour cereal into a bowl that refused to stay in one place, floating pieces bouncing off the walls, the ceiling, and occasionally into his mouth. He grumbled, muttering about zero-G physics and breakfast conspiracies, when a soft laugh echoed behind him. Cerelia appeared at the kitchen hatch, arms crossed, her ears twitching in amusement. "You humans are absurd," she said, floating effortlessly in the doorway. "Why do you insist on making simple things like breakfast so dramatic?" Nathan held up a floating flake triumphantly. "This is drama," he said, catching it midair and popping it into his mouth. "I call it survival." Her ears flicked, a tiny motion that somehow conveyed a whole conversation of judgment and humor. "Survival," she repeated, voice lilting. "And here I thought you were just showing off your acrobatic skills." He shrugged, cheeks heating. "Maybe a little of both." Cerelia floated past him and leaned against the counter, observing the chaotic orbit of his cereal with exaggerated fascination. "You know," she said, "in my home system, breakfast is a communal telepathic experience. No cereal spills, no clumsy humans, just synchronized enjoyment of nutrients and mild sarcasm." Nathan laughed, almost tipping over backward in the low-gravity kitchen. "I think I prefer this version, less mind-reading, more danger." After breakfast, or whatever approximated breakfast in zero gravity, they decided to explore the city. Nathan had half a plan, which mostly involved walking through the floating marketplaces and trying not to get himself flattened by levitating crates. Cerelia, on the other hand, seemed entirely at ease, her long ears subtly adjusting as she floated alongside him, taking in the neon glow of Nova Primis. Her presence was magnetic, commanding attention without demanding it, and Nathan couldn't help but feel like an overly enthusiastic puppy trying to match her every move. They passed vendors hawking exotic alien produce, from luminescent fruit that pulsed gently in your hands to gravity-bending pastries that hovered enticingly above the trays. Nathan attempted to buy a glowing orb of fruit, only to have it slip through his fingers and bounce across the plaza. Cerelia caught it midair with the ease of someone accustomed to the unpredictable, her long ears flicking once as if to say, "Really human." "Here, try this," she said, offering the fruit to him with a small, teasing smile. "If it bites, it's on you." Nathan took it carefully, chewing nervously. "It's actually delicious." "Of course it is," she said, voice dripping with amusement. "I'd be concerned if you found it bland. That would be tragic for the galaxy." As they wandered through the city, Nathan noticed how her presence altered ordinary experiences. The hum of a passing grav taxi became a symphony, the flicker of neon lights looked like starlight condensed, and even the distant chatter of alien tongues felt like a story waiting to unfold. Cerelia laughed at his small exclamations and gasps, teasing him gently about being so easily impressed by civilization. Nathan responded with mock indignation, insisting that human engineering and ingenuity deserved awe, and she rolled her eyes, ears twitching like soft banners in a gentle wind. They paused on a floating platform above the city, looking down at the intricate traffic of hovering ships below. Nathan tried to impress her with his knowledge of orbital traffic algorithms, explaining the elegant mathematics that kept the city's lanes flowing smoothly. Cerelia listened, tilting her head and occasionally flicking an ear. "You humans really love to complicate things," she said finally. "I admire it. You find poetry in equations, drama in schedules." Nathan laughed, feeling a rush of pride and embarrassment. "Some of us do, others just crash into things and hope for the best." She raised an eyebrow, smiling. "Which category are you in?" "The second mostly," he admitted. "But today, I'm hoping for at least partial competence." Their laughter was interrupted by a minor commotion. A rogue delivery drone, missing its assigned route, zipped past them at alarming speed. Nathan flailed in the low-gravity environment trying to dodge it, while Cerelia casually flicked her wrist, activating a small field that nudged the drone harmlessly aside. She grinned at him. "See, minor danger handled." Nathan, still wobbling from the near collision, gasped. I meant to do that, kind of." "Of course," she said, amusement twinkling in her eyes. "You're an expert at pretending." The day continued with small adventures. A floating garden of bioluminescent flora, a malfunctioning anti-grav carousel that sent Nathan spinning while Cerelia hovered gracefully, and a chance encounter with a group of traveling entertainers from another system, who performed telekinetic acrobatics that made Nathan's jaw drop. Through it all, Cerelia remained patient, teasing, and occasionally rescuing him from his own clumsiness, her presence turning every ordinary event into a memorable one. By the time they returned to his apartment, the stars outside seemed to hum with quiet approval. Nathan's walls, covered with her images, now felt like companions rather than mere pictures. Cerelia floated beside him, her ears flicking with subtle amusement as she observed the collection. "You know," she said softly, "I think your walls speak for you more than you realize, but now I understand. You're not hiding, you're preparing. Perhaps hoping for company." Nathan swallowed, heart-pounding, trying to respond with something witty or clever but failing. "Maybe I was," he admitted finally. Her smile softened, ears brushing against the ambient glow of his hololights. "Good," she whispered, "because I think this could be the start of something interesting." Nathan nodded, realizing he had spent the day floundering in awe, humor, and occasional terror, and yet it had been the best day of his life. The orbital city hummed softly outside, the neon glow reflecting on the rings of the distant gas giant, and for the first time, Nathan felt that the universe was not just a place he inhabited. It was a stage, and he and Cerelia were improvising a story neither of them had expected to write. Nathan hadn't slept well again, but this time it wasn't because of dreams of Ceralia's teasing smile or the delicate flick of her long ears. No, this time it was because he had an inkling that the universe, as usual, had decided to throw a curveball. He had gotten used to ordinary dangers, floating fruit, zero-G missteps, the occasional wayward drone, but tonight felt different. Nova Primis hummed with a tense undercurrent, the neon lights reflecting off the docking bays like an anxious heartbeat. Ceralia appeared at his doorway as if she had known exactly what he was thinking. "You're awake," she said, voice calm with a hint of mischief. "Good, we might need your flair tonight." Nathan blinked. "My flair?" She raised an eyebrow, ears twitching like elegant antennae. "Your human flair for chaos, panic, and occasional brilliance." The city's security sensors picked up a rogue faction drone, armed, curious, and very persistent. "And it seems they've decided you're a target." Nathan swallowed, a mixture of excitement and terror rising. "A target me." Ceralia floated past him, arms crossed, her long ears adjusting subtly as though calculating the safest angles. "Yes, you. Apparently human admiration of aliens is dangerous in some circles. Lucky for you, I'm very persuasive." They moved through the apartment in practiced choreography. Nathan fumbled with a portable shield generator which emitted a soft buzzing, while Ceralia tapped a wrist panel, sending a pulse that cloaked them in partial invisibility. "See," she said, "simple, mostly harmless, definitely impressive." Nathan tried to smile, but his nerves betrayed him. Mostly harmless, that's comforting. The orbital city outside shimmered, ships gliding through lanes like fireflies, and a distant glow indicated the rogue drone approaching. Nathan felt his stomach do somersaults. "So, what do we do?" he asked. Ceralia's smile was a mix of amusement and calm. "We improvise, you distract, I neutralize like a dance, really. Though your dance may involve screaming and flailing." As predicted, when the drone appeared, a sleek silver thing with ominous red sensors, Nathan flailed spectacularly, knocking over a small grav table in the process. "Hey, over here," he shouted, waving wildly, while Ceralia glided past him, her long ears flicking elegantly as she adjusted her trajectory. The drone locked onto him immediately. Nathan bolted, using zero-G jumps that sent him bouncing off the walls and floating platforms, all while shouting a running commentary on how unfair it was that machines never appreciated humor. Ceralia's voice cut through the chaos. "Nathan, your commentary is entertaining but slightly fatal." With a deft motion, she extended her hand, generating a soft gravitational pulse that redirected the drone harmlessly into a nearby docking bay. Nathan skidded to a stop, nearly hitting a grav lamp, and looked at her in awe. Did that just happen?" "Yes," she said, smirking, "and your panic added dramatic flair, well done." The immediate danger passed, leaving Nathan panting and exhilarated. "You make it look so easy," he said. "Years of experience," she replied, brushing past him with a casual elegance. "And the patience to endure flailing humans." They drifted toward the observation deck, now quiet, the city glowing beneath them. Nathan looked at Ceralia, realizing how much had changed since she first appeared in his apartment. He wasn't just a man who admired images on a wall anymore. He was part of a shared story, a co-narrator in a cosmic adventure he never anticipated. "You know," he said, trying for humor, "I think I might enjoy this interstellar drama thing. If it comes with you, of course." Ceralia's ears twitched in amusement. "I suspected as much," she said softly, "but there's more to admiration than entertainment. You've been brave, awkward, honest, and that has value, Nathan. I've seen countless humans, but few who are genuinely unguarded, few who can balance fear and humor in the same breath." Nathan felt warmth spread through him. "I didn't realize I could do that." "You did," she said, voice gentle, "and it matters more than you know." They spent the next hours exploring the city in the calm aftermath, floating through quiet streets and neon-lit parks, sharing stories about their worlds. Nathan revealed his love for obscure human music, and Ceralia laughed at his explanations of gravity-dependent dance moves. In turn, she described her home system's customs, their ceremonial energy dances, and the delicate etiquette of ear gestures, movements he found himself fascinated with, both for their elegance and for the subtle humor in which she explained them. By nightfall, they returned to his apartment. Nathan looked around at the walls, once a secret shrine to his fascination, now a testament to his journey. Cerelia floated near him, ears twitching, her presence comforting yet full of energy. I think your walls tell a story, she said. Not just of admiration, but of curiosity, courage, and a bit of human absurdity, all qualities I value. Nathan smiled, realizing how far he had come. He no longer felt the embarrassment that had plagued him when she first appeared. He had grown into someone willing to embrace unpredictability, humor, and intimacy, someone who could face a rogue drone with flailing yes, but also with courage. Then I guess it's official, he said, gesturing to the collection of images. I'm done hiding behind them. Cerelia's ears flicked with approval. Good, because I prefer company over walls, and Nathan, I think I enjoy your company. They stood together, floating in the soft light of the orbital city, the distant hum of gravlanes below, the rings of a planet glowing faintly beyond. Nathan felt an unexpected completeness, a balance of wonder, humor, and connection he hadn't known he was missing. Do you think humans and aliens can really manage this? He asked, voice soft. Cerelia smiled, brushing her hand lightly against his. We already are, Nathan, and if we keep laughing, surviving, and sharing stories, I think we'll do just fine. He laughed nervously, a little self-conscious, a little elated. I guess I have a lot to learn about your world. And I about yours, she said, her long ears brushing his shoulder, a subtle, comforting gesture. But that's part of the fun. For the first time, Nathan realized the truth. The universe didn't have to be vast and intimidating. With someone to share it with, even a long-eared alien woman who teased him endlessly, it could feel intimate, alive, and full of endless possibilities. They drifted together to the observation window, gazing at the city below and the stars beyond. Nathan's life, once a pattern of routine,